Today, I thought we'd talk about scraps, how I organize them, what I do. This is where I keep them right next to where I sew. As I create them at the cutting table or here, I simply fill this basket. And when it is overflowing in muffin top like it is now, I start sorting. So first I sort them into color. And you can see that first piece I took out is big. I have a quilt machine, so I have backs, so I have edges of backs, so I have scraps of every size. And this that I just did, the little tiny piece, see the little pile in the bottom corner? Those are crumbs. And I'm not sorting those by color right now. I'm simply sorting what I consider scraps. So there is the question, and that is the trick. We all love to see other people's scraps and see them sort them, but the problem is coming up with what works for us. What do you consider a scrap? So for me, scraps are chunks. They are strings. They are anything I know I'm going to sew, the very many scrap quilts I make. These pieces, that's actually a piece of yardage. And I fold it up and put it there because it's such a small piece of yardage that I don't want it in with my yardage anymore. So that's how I decide. And the best part about this is my decision. It's the only one that matters because these are my scraps. So I can't be wrong. I think we freeze as we try to decide what category things go in. You can see the one closest to me right there is a novelty pile. That's where anything I don't know where it goes in the novelty pile. There's some florals. There's some children's prints. This pink floral feels pink enough that I decide to put it with the pinks because that's where I think I will use it. And so when you're sorting your scraps, just feel confident. It really is something that is up to you to do how you want. This piece is a Christmas neutral, and I do have a Christmas stash I could put it in, but I think I want it to be a neutral. And this is such a big chunk. And when I put it in there, I didn't know, but as I look at it right now, I think, oh, this is enough to make a quilt. I'm going to separate this, take it out of my scraps, put it aside to make a quilt. So as I go through this box, sometimes things don't end up being scraps anymore. Sometimes I just get the creative urge and I put it away. You can see me deciding some of those look teal and some of them are too yellow, so they have to go in the novelty pile. These are ugly. These, my sister and I made a quilt and they were just this ugly, ugly layer cake. Oh, this one, look at that. I made the prettiest quilt and this is part of a panel and I think I'm going to keep it and set that to the side and not put it with my scraps and make a beautiful quilt out of it. So off it goes. Here are some more chunks from that line. And this I got a bunch of fabric from a garage sale. And this was part of that, and it has a line of dirt down the middle. That's what I was showing you. So I'll just cut it up when I finally make it into scraps, but not now. Right now is sorting time. This one, I don't know why all those are cut in 2.5-inch strips, but again, I think, there's enough fabric here to make a baby quilt. I'm going to put these to the side and use them all together. This next fabric cracks me up because I decide it goes into the blues instead of novelty. It really is just a choice. And at the end of the video, you'll see the tub of novelty, and I have some of it in the novelty, but whatever, it can go in both tubs. We are always right when we are sorting our own fabric. Whatever we do, it's right. So as I come to the end of sorting this, we're going to put them in the tubs they belong in. And if you've watched previous videos, you've seen me pull out tubs. I use my scrap tubs first, always when I'm making a scrappy quilt. Here's the empty. I want to put that right back and fill it. And how often do I fill that? A lot. I'm pretty prolific. But if I went slower, I'd wait till it was full before I put it away. Here we go with the novelty, and you're going to find that blue fabric right. Ta-da! There it is. See it? I know. Crack myself up. I love it. I love that whatever you do, it's going to work. And that's my novelty, and I make lots of quilts from that tub. This is my dark greens. I have 2 green buckets, a dark green and a bright green. You can see it to the side right there. So as I put away all of my scraps, they just go into these tubs. And my rule is I can't have more than the tub. So when the tub gets muffin filled and some of them are tight right now, I really can't fit the lid anymore, then I pull that tub out and I come up with a quilt in that color. And it is a really fun way to keep scraps. I researched, I have kept my scraps many different ways, but this is the way that works for me. I use them. They fit right there. I love to be able to see them. They're labeled. I also have other tubs of other scraps. I have Christmas, Civil War, fat quarters, my Christmas scraps. It's just the way I do it. These are the crumbs, and I'm not going to sort these. I do it exactly like I do the scraps, and then I put them away in these tubs. And I love making crumb quilts. I love making crumb blocks. I make them 6.5 inches. And I'm just showing you that as I make them, and I do this when I feel like it or I'm resting or whatever, there's teal, then I just put them in these little containers until the containers are too full. And then if I need extra of whatever, I simply make enough. The other scraps I keep are 2.5-inch squares. And I keep these because I make a lot of 2.5-inch square quilts. I cut them up randomly. When I need a quilt, then I start cutting. First I take what is here, then I cut more, and then I cut and fill the spaces that I have vacated by taking fabrics out. These really are the only size of pre-cuts I keep on hand because I have learned that for me, these are the only ones I will constantly use. So that is something you have to learn about yourself. What size pre-cuts will you use, and do you really go to them first? I just believe in scraps. This sweet doll is why I believe in scraps. When my daughter, who owns Mary Mabel Market, was 8, she wanted to play with my scraps, and she made this beautiful doll. And then she tried to give it away, but I talked her into letting me have it instead. So it is old and wonderful and makes my heart happy. Scraps are so valuable. Enjoy yours. Stay merry and creative.